All right, so let's begin. I'm a mother of three. I am the founder and CEO of StarMars Tech, and also the founder and CEO of Meridian Outsourcing, an outsourcing company that provides opportunities for women and children in the Philippines. Let's talk about the power of women. There are three distinct characteristics that women possess innately. That's intuition, empathy, and charisma. Intuition is very important when you're building relationships because it gives you kind of like a purview of what the other person is like. It gives you kind of like a peek or a sense of, how are you supposed to approach a person, especially in business dealings and how to convey messaging. It's very important to understand where the other person is, which is why empathy is also very important. Intuition, empathy, and charisma are all innate characteristics that women possess. And I think that if we just learn to hone them, that they can be very, very powerful. Charisma is also a favorite of mine because charisma is that, what they call it, that's star quality of, I think women are born with natural charisma. And it doesn't mean that it's about having a pretty face or looking presentable. It actually means that you have a magnetic personality, that you have a way of invoking emotion from people. And that's actually very, very powerful when you're thinking about having a business dealing, maintaining a business relationship and engaging with people. Now that I've talked about what your tools are or what your superpowers are as a woman, let's move on to what are the bigger problems or the blockers that women encounter as women in tech in these types of situations. Number one is ourselves. Women have been, there are so many social pressures that we have to deal with. I'll give you an example as a mother working in tech and as a leader as well too. When I go and travel the world and I go on these conferences, the biggest question that I'm always asked is, who's taking care of the kids? And you rarely hear anybody talk about that when they're faced with, a male counterpart that's in the same situation as me. So, these are the type of social norms or expectations that are placed upon us that make it very difficult for us to navigate through business relationships or women in tech in general, right? Like, labels, roles, those are all in the same kind of putting you in that box of like, because you're a woman, these are what you're defined to or expected to be a definition of. And we're trying to break away from that. The haters, that's very easy. People that are very judgmental of you, people that are not supportive and have opinions of you. It's very easy. I always say drown them out with the noise of the music of you, because, if you focus on the good qualities and these superpowers that I was talking about, it's very easy to kind of drown out all of the negative feedback that you're getting. Learn to hone them and turn it around to give you more motivation to do better and keep pushing. And then lastly, it's, the need to compete. I think women in tech, because there's about 26% women in tech right now. If you can see, that's a very, very poor number. And I always say this is the reason why I participate, and I'm a huge advocate for women, not just in tech, but in business in general, because I think we need to stick together. We learn to uplift each other. There's this personality or this common notion that if, one person or one other woman is doing better than you, that it somehow limits the opportunities that you have. Which is completely untrue. I think the more that we stick together, the more that we uplift each other, the more we become very, very powerful. So think about that for 1 second. And so knowing that you have these powers that you can hone and use and leverage to help you propel your career, your business relationships in tech, let's think about how to have the proper mindset. Right? What is the proper mindset? And putting yourself, or setting your mind, that's basically what it is, setting your mind to think and help you get ahead and closer to your goals. So the first thing I always tell women is, we should always use these superpowers that I just mentioned to you as a means to shine, right? Like, be proud of who you are, be true to yourself, embrace the unique brand of you, which when I say the unique brand of you, every individual, every woman is unique. You find your strengths and your weaknesses, and you learn to play up your strengths and learn from your weaknesses, right? There's so many ways that you can maneuver business dealings and business relationships with the right type of character and personality. And this goes back to, having empathy and being intuitive about what other people's expectations are, right? And then another thing that's also very important, and this is something that I take really seriously, is never stop learning. I'm constantly always having conversations with people because I'm genuinely interested in who they are, what they do, and how I can learn from them, right? So the next step to that is, take a mentor. If there's somebody that you admire, that you think would either help you improve on a weakness that you have, or help, share knowledge on something that, you're not as experienced in, or just generally somebody that you really, really admire and you think you can learn a lot from. Mentors are exceptional. In this case, for me, my mentors, are Assam and David. They're kind enough to write a little note because I, sent them a shout out on LinkedIn this morning, and I said, hey, I'm getting in front of women in tech. What are some words of encouragement and words of wisdom that you would like me to share with all the women that would be on my session? And so David Council, a CEO and founder of Drift, he's also a serial entrepreneur like myself, has these nice words, very inspiring. Assume positive intent. Be so good they can't ignore you. Obey the golden rule, AKA how you act will come back to you. Don't be democratic with your attention or with whom you take advice from. Model yourself only after people who have achieved what you want, ideally multiple times over a long horizon. That's very profound. Thank you so much, David. And then Assam, who I've met, he is the founder and CEO of Ejada Investment Company in Saudi Arabia, and really great mentor in the finance sector and in blockchain as well too. He just sent me a good luck, greeting there, which is great. And he's a huge advocate also for women empowering women. And as you know, because in the Middle East, this is, not the usual way of life. Like now they are moving towards being more progressive and encouraging a lot more rights for women. And so, Assam is a huge advocate of that, which is why I'm a huge follower of his. So that's an example of how you take up a mentor that can help propel your career and help you create relationships. Those mentors will, sometimes, be the bridge to the next business connection that you need. Another thing that's important is, when you have your superpowers and you have your mentors and you have all the information, that you can get to help you propel your career in tech, my advice is always to pay it forward. So, be a source of inspiration, pay it forward, because the world is round, meaning, be your karma, be your own karma. The love that you spread and give out comes back to you tenfold. And, generosity is key. Always be generous. One of my secret ingredients when doing business dealings is I always initiate providing value and being generous towards my business partners or my dealings. And without expectation, it has to be genuine, right? You have to genuinely love just helping other people and seeing them succeed and knowing that you became part of that, right? Be patient, because, learn from the concept of planting seeds. When you reach out to people and you do good deeds and you share kindness with them, it's like planting those seeds. You may not see the instant impact of that, but really it helps them keep you in mind. And so remember that when you are coming across people, and I always say never discredit or discount people based off of what they they can bring to the table at that moment, right? Like treat everybody as fairly. I would treat the CEO the same way I would treat somebody that's, doing filing, for instance, right? And then build momentum and respect it. What does that mean? Slow, steady growth. The story of the tortoise and the hare, of slow, steady growth towards your goals is the surest and best way to go about things, and just respect the process and embrace it. Be patient, and that's where persistence comes when you're dealing with people. Just be as kind, be consistent. And then at the same time, when you practice all these things, the reward of that is that you have an opportunity to find a purpose. And that's, as a woman in tech and a leader and someone who's gone through so many different, peaks and valleys in my career, I always say, the best, most rewarding part of that journey is finding my purpose. And you'll come to find that as you take on this mindset of just giving back and providing value first without any expectation, you learn that you'll get to navigate your way through business a lot easier than a lot of people. People always ask me, what is your key? Why do you know everybody? Why are you so well connected? And I always say, it comes from within. If you have a good heart with good intentions, be genuine in your approach when you're talking to people. Don't be afraid of social media. Don't be afraid to reach out to people, because and be persistent. Sometimes people are just busy. They don't get back to you right away, or you haven't given them a sense of who you are. And social media is a great way to do that, where people can follow you and not necessarily directly have, a conversation. But then they get to see kind of like your digital footprint of what type of person you are, what do you bring to the table, and how valuable you are to their, to having a relationship, a business relationship with them. So as a woman in business, it is very difficult. We have to work 10 times harder. We have to be as persistent. We have to be as valuable. And all I can say is, I think it's a lot easier when you have, another woman who's made it, who's gone through the journey, that shares their journey and lends a hand to the next woman next to her and say, here, let me help you out. And so, one of the things I always say, the key to having stronger business relationships is always be willing to help another woman out. May be it an introduction, passing on a resume, or giving them some feedback, or showing them the ropes of how a specific industry works. There's so many ways that you can be such of help, a source of help and advocate for, the next woman next to you. That could be so inspiring. I have children, and it's very important that we pass this along to generations after generations, because as it is, we have a lot of struggle and a huge fight ahead of us. And also, as a woman of minority, that becomes 3 times harder. Especially with what's going on right now with COVID and with Black Lives Matter. Empathy, intuition, and having the charisma, the right heart, and the right intentions to inspire people to do good every day, to help other people out, and to lead with only the purest and best intentions is key. And people will see it. We will, that heart will radiate through, and people will know who you are. I remember one of the executives from one of the top corporations that one of my mentors as well too, always used to tell me, I've been following you for a very long time. And although we haven't had like an actual interaction, I see your heart through your dealings on social media or through the emails that I've been sent of what you do, what your business is like. And that's what finally got me to engage and to send an email and say, hey, I think this is something that could be of value to you. So you'll be surprised how just being persistent and being kind and helpful and generous in your dealings in business helps a lot. And so I hope you guys learned a little bit of something for myself. Again, my name is Marian Belandra. I'm based in San Francisco in the Bay Area. And I would love to get to know every woman out there. Please connect with me on LinkedIn under Marian Belandra, or follow StarMars Tech or Meridian Outsourcing. And I hope to be able to have this conversation with you one day face to face, because, you know, a personal connection is always key to stronger business relationships, especially for women in tech. Because like I said, we have so many waters we have to navigate through, and it's very important and key to stay and support each other. So good luck to all the women out there. Enjoy the rest of the sessions, and hope to meet as much as I could of you. I can't see on the screen here how many women are on this, but definitely a delight. Thank you so much.